All right, what's up, YouTube? So we are here on X. Um, this was just the other day, I think. Brian Keating is professor at UC Berkeley, I believe, and he has a YouTube channel called Into the Impossible, where normally you'd think he discusses things that would be like, oh, this is the impossible. You'd think he'd be all into this discussion, but in fact, I interviewed Brian Keating 4 years ago, before everything. A lot of stuff just went crazy on the internet within these circles. Brian Keating had I helped him get his first 1,000 subscribers, promoted his channel for him. I was in all of his chats for his first videos and his live streams and stuff like that. I would be there in his chats, and man, this guy turned on me and many in the community when I thought he would, he had such promise and he would be an ally. I really thought this guy was, a real deal, but he must have gotten tapped, or, a lot of the mainstream science community and the physics community was tapped by, people like Jeffrey Epstein, and brought into certain social circles where they became compromised. I believe a number of these scientists involved with this circle have become like that. Not to say that Brian isn't, one of them. I don't have any evidence per se against Brian. That's not an argument that one can make against what he said here. I'm just going to read Brian's words, and we're going to just cross-analyze everything that he said, man. So he says UFO true believers, okay? Again, using some Carl Sagan terminology there for those who don't know. Carl Sagan was very, called them the true believers, and it is akin to like religion. So he says, we aren't just wrong. They built a techno cargo cult around fake physics. Okay, and that's true. There is a techno cargo cult. There's several of them. The Electric Universe people would be one of them. An example of one of them. I won't get into all the other ones, but yeah. So there's tons of these kind of fake physics, cargo cult, science kind of fairs and communities and stuff. And I'm fallen into some of them. I've gone to a lot of them just to see if there's any. Sometimes people go to those things because they're easy to get seats at. They're easier to speak at those kinds of conferences than it is to speak at the official academic venues, which are very restrictive and exclusive about what kind of content they promote and allow. So they don't let outsiders who aren't like academics present stuff. Although sometimes, very rarely, people outside the academic community do have, some decent contributions. But for the most part, it's really people that have gone to school and learned from the experts and really know the subject matter and the material on a deep level that really make good progress in a given field. So I just think that this is, although there are some fields that they could be called cargo cult and then fake physics, like cargo cult, like the cold fusion community. There's a whole bunch of people that are like, no, there's positive results for this, including U.S. Navy SPAWAR scientists, Larry Forsley, talking about these aren't no-name people. These are very serious, big-name people talking about real results in cold fusion experiments. And there's a whole cold fusion community that one could use this sort of rhetoric or terminology to sort of group them in with these other free energy people, like the free energy people being like the flat Earth of the science community, like. Flat Earth, you're not even in the intellectual community, never mind, the scientific and academic, like, arguments and stuff. So it's like well outside that. So as someone who he says, and then of course he always likes to buff his chest out, say, I'm the biggest, strongest guy around in this field, and I'm the only one who knows anything. as someone who spent 20 plus years building experiments to test the actual laws of nature, here's why anti-gravity science craft is pseudoscience wrapped in Pentagon PowerPoints. So anti-gravity is one thing, but we're not talking about anti-gravity. If you're talking about warp drive, it's power in, propulsion out, and that's not like an anti-gravity. It's like propulsion, and there's other types of propulsion that may not be necessarily. Of course, anti-gravity is pseudoscience. That's not how the gravitational fields work, right? And to reinforce that, I'm going to bring on a PhD expert who just joined in the back room here to add some additional commentary. Jack Sarfati, welcome to the conversation, my friend.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, let me just say a few things about the anti-gravity thing. Warp drive is control of the gravitational field with small amounts of electrical power, quite similar to the way modern technology controls the electromagnetic field with small amounts of energy in general, okay? And the warp drive involves both. Well, I'm going to differ with you a little bit. Depends what you mean by anti-gravity, but it's both attractive gravity fields and repulsive gravity fields. The switching from an attractive gravity field to a repulsive gravity field is an electrogravitic effect. It has to do with the fact that the what are called the constituent electrodynamic parameters like permittivity and electrical permittivity and magnetic permeability are inside dispersive matter. They're complex functions, and there's a relative phase shift between the dissipative imaginary part, say of the electrical permittivity of the material, and its reactive, its real part. And by controlling that ratio, we can switch between an induced self-gravity inside the material, between an attractive kind of gravity redshift or a repulsive anti-gravity blue shift. And indeed, it is the blue shift from the when the phasing is right, that causes ionizes radiation if it's in the atmosphere, and that's what got people sick. That's what when Travis Taylor says he got mild radiation sickness, and so did other people at Skinwalker Ranch because they were standing under this cloaked hovering thing, and so they're getting radiation from that. It's similar to Havana syndrome as well. So we understand that perfectly well, and everything I'm saying I can back up with the actual mathematics, standard mainstream physics, the Feynman's action principle, Euler-Lagrange equations, local gauge invariance. I mean, it's very elementary physics. The problem is completely solved. The theoretical problem is completely solved.
What I'm referring to is like gravity shielding. Like you can't build a shield and then put it under one side of a flywheel, and then because that would just.
Well, actually, you're wrong. You're wrong. So, in fact, I have it from a military whistleblower friend of mine that such technology is actually operational. Actually, I have two different sources, two independent sources. I'm not going to say who they are for obvious reasons. Two independent. Such technology operates. It's not ours. It's not Lockheed Martin. It's not Lockheed. But
this is not where I wanted the conversation to go, man.
Yeah, like, this is it. I'm giving you the facts now.
That's no facts there.
I'm giving you. Listen. I'm giving you. Like I'm rehearsing for my briefing for President Trump in Mar-a-Lago.
Okay.
Which was scheduled for August 9th originally, but because of obvious things that happened with with Putin, Alaska, I assume it'll be probably either in late September, early October, when I'll be flown down to Mar-a-Lago because the president prefers Mar-a-Lago to Washington. He doesn't particularly like Washington, and so everything I'm telling you is kind of prepping, for what I'm going to be telling the president of the United States and assume probably Tulsi Gabbard.
Let's just assume for a second that Brian Keating's flying down there with you, and these are his.
No, Brian Keating's they wouldn't let Brian Keating through the door.
Well,
Brian Keating is a joke. He's a joke. What is his? I mean, he's not a theoretical physicist.
He's going to be the next. He's trying to be the next Neil deGrasse Tyson, you know. And
but Neil deGrasse Tyson, what the hell is he? He's a DEI affirmative action clown.
I think about this tweet from the CIA a lot. It says CIA officers work as scientists, support staff, engineers, economists, linguists, mathematicians, secretaries, accountants, inventors, cartographers, architects, psychologists, police officers, editors, graphic designers, auto mechanics, historians, museum curators, and more. And when it's museum curators, that last one's pretty curious because
wait, you've lost me. What is this? It's like you've gone off on a tail. How is this relevant to what I was talking about?
Neil deGrasse Tyson's a museum curator.
Yeah, right. Okay, understood. All right.
And Brian's trying to be the next Neil.
Go ahead.
That's my point.
Brian Keating, by the way, he's a professor at UCSD La Jolla. I was a graduate student in physics in the 60s at UCSD La Jolla. I got my master's there. I actually did all my graduate work there. I was number 2 on the PhD written exam, along with the Benford twins, all kinds of people.
All right.
I was second. I don't know who the first guy. I was told that later. So I know and this is in the 60s. And I got my PhD at Riverside because the professor I was working with happened to be at Riverside. So although I was never physically at Riverside, I was there once or twice. Yeah, all the work was done in La Jolla. But in any case, Brian Keating's claim, he's an experimental guy. He's like Avi Loeb. They're good at what they do, but they don't understand theoretical physics very deeply. Brian doesn't understand general relativity very well. He understands the sequencing. He understands a little bit of it. He doesn't really understand it because if he did, he wouldn't have said what he said. And Brian's main claim to fame is that he was part of some big team about the type 2 supernovae and that they missed getting the Nobel Prize because another team beat them. So big deal. Okay, and he has his friends. They're part of this clique. And by the way, I'm pretty sure they're deep state. They're trying to control the UFO narrative.
I want to mention a couple things about this control the UFO narrative, Jack. Yeah. This is we're going to read all his posts. He's got 10 posts deep on this, trying to destroy the UFO narrative and reclaim it for the scientists and his followers and whatnot, and what he tries to represent as the physics community. Which is just, he's an astro guy. He deals with telescopes and the neutrino detector and stuff. And that's all cool and good science, but don't diss what other people are doing in other fields, especially stuff you don't understand and have no clue about. Let's read this. Claim: UAPs do 80,000 feet dives in under a second, stop instantly and turn at Mach 10. Reality: that's thousands of G's, according to Brian Keating, lethal to any known biology or machine. Also, no sonic boom equals no physics. You don't break the sound barrier silently. Well,
okay, that shows how stupid he is. Wait, stop.
It does.
Stop.
It does.
Stop. Let me. Yeah, I'm the physicist here. Right. I'm the physics.
Well, I want to hear your report. Let me.
No, first stop there because if you do too much, nobody's going to say they can't follow it. It's too complicated. Stop right there. Everything he says there shows he doesn't understand general relativity. He doesn't understand the physics. He's assuming Newtonian motion of a material object through the air. That's not what warp drive is. So he has no understanding of even Alcubierre paper from 30 years ago.
It also shows a complete ignorance of the spoofing technology.
Just let me finish my sentence, please. Thank you.
Yep.
Everything he says there is stupid. And if he were to confront me face to face, I'd show him up as what the hell. I'd expose him for the idiot he is there. It's stupid. Not real. It's not good physics.
Well, again, I would love to, again, in the comments below that, there's several posts, and he goes off on these threads too, as well.
Listen,
But what I pointed out, Jack, is that 1945 patents can explain those radar traces. A 1945 CIA patent connected to Project Palladium, which is a spoofing technology. They just have a radar reflector at sea level.
yeah,
They
okay,
pop
wait.
it, deflate it, or shut it off, and they simultaneously do the same exact radar reflector at 80,000 feet, or one in between. So it looks like it just shot up 80,000 feet instantly.
Yeah, okay, that's one possibility. But wait, now let me, don't.
But Keating's
stop
just completely doesn't even know technology from the 40s.
Yeah, wait a minute. Let me comment on that. What you say is one possibility that might explain the radar, what Kevin Day saw. It doesn't explain what the pilots, Commander Fravor and the other pilots, saw close up and personal. It doesn't explain that. It doesn't explain their sightings of Tic Tac. I don't think so.
Not that. There might be. I asked T.D. Barnes, who the project
Listen,
manager.
I happen to know these things are real. Okay, I happen to know from firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, T.D. Barnes swore, he's like, nah, it's all our spoofing tech. It's the plasma balls, the induced plasma spheres. That's what he's scared by.
I can believe it.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. There's other theories out there, and
just wait a minute.
And when I think someone's deep state is when they won't talk about those kind of stuff.
Yeah, all right, listen. Just let me speak, okay? You're speaking too much. Let me speak, because I know what I'm talking about. I have inside information, okay? I'm the PhD physicist here. I know what the fuck I'm saying, all right? Now, the point is, all this stuff is known. We understand it. It's elementary physics. And it doesn't matter what anybody did, but what matters is whether I'm going to be able to convince the President of the United States about this. Because also the fact is that the Russians, I believe, are way ahead of us, because the Russians were at a talk I gave over 10 years ago in Orlando at a DARPA NASA conference where the basic ideas were introduced there. And I was invited to Moscow 2 years ago. I didn't go, but the Russians follow my work. They're working on it. Okay. And I do think that some of these drones that, before, around, was it last November, December? Some of them may have been Russian or Chinese, but they're coming, and that is they're coming from the future. See, it's all time travel technology. This is the hardest thing for people. This is what guys like Keating and Tyson, they'll say, oh, well, Jackson, the time travel, that's totally stupid. But actually, it's not. So this is, this cognitive dissonance here.
Well, even Hawking, he threw the party for time travelers and didn't announce it till afterwards. So, but nobody showed up because they
Who? What?
Stephen Hawking, remember, he threw the party for time travelers.
Okay. By the way, Hawking, if you actually read what Hawking's actually said, you read between the lines. I think Hawking actually agreed. He made some. If I have it in my book, I have the detail. What I'm talking about is in.
And why didn't anyone show up to his party?
What? All right, but let's be serious. But Hawking hedged on this time travel thing, and at the end, he gave the real statement that maybe he would have to say this even if it were true. So I have the exact statement that he actually made. I don't know if it's in that article, is in my book, Destiny Matrix, and there's a free audio book version of it online. Okay. Anything else? I mean, it's probably not worth giving Keating so much. He's a schmuck.
This is it. I want to give Keating the attention because this gives me an opportunity to inject all my excellent research into the mix that he ignores and continues to pretend doesn't exist and not talk about and mock me as a cargo cult pseudoscientist. All
right, I mean, he has control. He does. He speaks to what? Was he on Joe Rogan?
He's got a couple. Yeah, he was on Joe Rogan. He's good enough to be on Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah, well, Joe Rogan's an idiot. But
These are the cranks that Joe Rogan has on his show.
Joe Rogan, though.
Joe Rogan's he's not like a super smart guy, but he is willing to test the edge, and he was right about.
Yeah. But the point is, he doesn't know shit from Chino, and now that he has a big audience.
No. In fact, he goes to Jeremy Corbell when he has a UFO question. He calls up Jeremy Corbell and asks Jeremy Corbell. That proves how much of how dumb he is on the topic.
Yeah, so schmuck calls another schmuck. So I mean, a bunch of idiots. And so what? The point, all that matters now. But look, the point is, the Russians are not stupid.
Oh, this is his next post.
The Chinese are not stupid. Okay, they're working on this stuff.
Well, here's the thing: the Germans weren't stupid either, and that leads to my next.
The Germans are stupid. The Germans today are pretty stupid, I must say.
Well, yeah, but that's because we.
I mean the leaders. I mean the political. I'm talking about the chancellor.
We brain drained them during the Operation Paperclip, right? So his point, back to his point, right? Tech doesn't emerge from nowhere, he says, and he's got a picture of Otis T. Carr in the OTC X1 prototype from the 50s, right? The thing that Billy Meyer copied, that Bob Lazar copied from Billy Meyer, it goes back to the 50s, and this guy Otis Carr, right? So that's where and then Ridley and Basala innovation is incremental, combinatory, visible. If Russia or China had this, we'd see prototypes, patents, physics papers, no ghost craft with zero supply chain. And buddy, the supply chain was Operation Paperclip. Look up anechoic tiles. The Nazis had metamaterials, buddy. All that stuff came over to Redstone Arsenal in the 40s.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
do you not understand the supply chain, you moron? Like, this guy, I can't believe him, Jack, right? Can you believe the ignorance of Brian Keating in a statement like this, where he's literally...
Listen, but Brian Keating is the disinformation deep state agent.
Obviously.
Now, I don't know. The question is, there's a... Let me finish my statement, please, before you interrupt. You don't let me finish a sentence, and that's
Let's go. All right. You got the floor.
Just let me finish a sentence and then you speak, okay? I know you're enthusiastic and so on, okay. But Brian Keating is a deep state disinformation agent. Now, the point is he what's called a useful idiot, or is he a witting agent? So he may actually believe what he says. Okay. A lot of these guys, is he a pawn, or is he kind of a puppet master? So I suspect he's a pawn. I suspect he's not that smart a guy. No, he's good in what he does. He's a specialist. Richard Feynman said about his colleagues, says any physicists, as soon as they start talking about things out there, their specialty, they're just as stupid as any other idiot. Okay. So he's no expert. He's an expert in certain things. Yes, I would not challenge him on his, what he does in his day job. But talking about this stuff, this is not just physics. This happens to be intelligence. It's politics. It's counterintelligence,
history too,
military stuff. The rules of the game are different. It's not just his little academic bullshit. All right, it's more than that, and it's serious stuff. It's weapons, and that's it. So the point, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Yeah. I know more about it than he does. I happen to know that all this stuff is operational, except when. Okay.
I just want to get it working in Mark's lab so we can show.
Well, okay, but listen, Mark's, that's not, you guys are not that, nothing that's going to happen. It doesn't. This is all happening on a much bigger scale. Nobody's paying attention to you guys. I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong, but the people in the Pentagon, the people in Moscow, they got their own thing going. So
Yeah. Well. All I know is that there is a lot going on in there are a lot of ghost crafts. There are a lot of ghost crafts out there. There are entire X series planes that were built and then scrapped. Entire programs that were.
What I was going to say about that, but I didn't have a chance to finish, is that yes, we do have retrieved craft. And there has been Lockheed and all these guys, they have some of the stuff. But these retrieved craft are conscious artificial intelligences. They control what they want us humans to know. So they have revealed some of their technology to some of these guys at Area 50, wherever. But they don't have the complete picture. They don't, they in other words, listen, like I drive my car, my 2021 Jaguar, right? I can't fix it. I don't really know how it works, right? I have to take it to the dealer, right? In the same way, the Lockheed guys, they can fly the saucer, or actually, they're not really flying it. They're just really passengers. The ship itself is in control. The ship flies it. Okay, and they do have telepathic contact, direct brainwave contact with the electronics inside the metamaterial thin shell hull of the ship. So the technology, the conscious AI, the NHI conscious AI, is in control of the whole thing. All right, and I have not met one government scientist or one CIA guy who understands what I understand. They don't. They don't understand it. So I have more of the fundamental understanding of the technology than anybody else, I believe, and I could be wrong. I hope somebody prove me wrong. I'll say I'm wrong.
No, I mean, I just want to see it proved out in the laboratory, because that gets into his.
Now you guys are naive. Now you're naive about this, because to take any experiment, a simple experiment, is like $1 million. I have a Cavendish experiment. Very simple, very direct. There's no ambiguity. But it'll still cost you maybe a couple $100,000 to do it. Now, I published it. There were 20,000 X.com views in the first 24 hours. So presumably some people are actually doing the experiment. And if this experiment works the way I predict it should work, that is a smoking gun prototype of a certain kind of warp drive. Okay, so there it is. So it's done. But you can't just, if the experiment was so easy, you guys should go do it. It's published. It's all there. It's all grokted. It tells you exactly what to do. So do the experiment. See if it works. That'll be a test.
This is great.
Everything costs money. You can't do it on,
Yeah, I know. I know. I know really bad. I could use.
And also another reason for the secrecy of all this stuff is that these guys had taken a couple, maybe, I don't know, Gordon Alva said trillions of dollars. There's a trillion. We're spending all this black budget money, and they don't have much to show for it.
I know. Well, I want that. Hopefully they send me some money, because we've made a lot of progress on this stuff. And
let me tell you, boy,
crap to bed. I mean,
if you listen to me, Jeremy, I'm going to tell you something you should know.
Okay.
Nobody's going to give you a penny from the real serious people until you have a coherent narrative of the physics theory behind what you're doing. Otherwise, to them, you appear like monkeys on the typewriter. Maybe some. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let me finish. You keep interrupting. Learn to listen. Okay. I have to learn myself. I mean, I'm not any better than
this is my show as well, Jack.
I know, but just listen. I'm telling you something that you should need to know. Now, what Mark Sokol is doing, the nuclear spin thing, there is something to the nuclear spin thing. Because I am working on nuclear spin stuff, but I have the actual real physics of it. Okay, I know how to,
What, NMR, EPR, what are you doing?
I'm actually with Grok helping me. I'm formulating patents, and it's since the people paying for it, I can't give any details on it. Once the patent is published, then then you'll know. But the point is that I understand the basic physics. Einstein's theory, I can say it's extended to what's called Poincare gauge theory, and does the spin, the quantum mechanical. So there is what I can say in a general way is that what Einstein did in 1915 was purely classical. There was no quantum mechanical physics known when he did general relativity. So his theory is only a first step, and Einstein himself knew it as provisional. His theory was like step one. Step one. There are other terms. There are other terms in Einstein's field equations that have to be added that involve the quantum mechanical spin effects. It's also called torsion field as opposed to curvature field. And it turns out that the quantum mechanical couplings to space-time, to the gravitational field, are much stronger than the gravitational coupling used by Einstein. And everything, even if Brian Keating had a modicum of understanding of warp drive, which he doesn't seem to have, I'm surprised that he's so ignorant. But even if he understood, even if Brian Keating understood Alcubierre, which he doesn't apparently, there's no evidence that he does, he would then say, yes, this might be possible, but it would take too much energy because the coupling is too weak. But that's the classical coupling. But however, the quantum spin coupling is much, much stronger. And in fact, the problem there is sometimes you have to be careful. It could get too strong. If it gets too strong, it's like an atomic bomb. It's like a weapon. It can blow up everything. So we got to be careful. So it's just we've gone from the frying pan into the fire. In the standard Einstein thing, the effects seem too weak to be useful. Even my Cabbage's experiment, it's a very weak effect, but it's measurable. But with this new quantum mechanically, that Mark Sokol is kind of like puttering around. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's like the Sorcerer's Apprentice. You guys who may blow up his lab one day. Who knows? You may all be dead from an explosion because the effect's so strong you don't realize what the hell you got. So that's the point. You've stumped Falcon Labs has stumbled with this, this other guy, Alfio or whatever. He didn't have the right idea, but you've stumbled on something that's real, but without the theoretical understanding of it, and nobody will fund it until you have a proper. Now, at some point, I might be able to help you guys, but not until the patents are out. I can't do it right now.
But you're going to talk to Trump. You better have your ducks in a row if you're going to.
Well, of course, of course. But it's not just me. I have somebody who's dealing with it. I have a close friend of Trump is arranging all this, and I'll be there at least 3 days before I meet with the president if it happens. God knows what's going to happen. We could have a nuclear war. But if it happens, I'll have at least 2 or 3 days ahead of time with my advocate, so to speak, who is a personal friend of the president, and we'll be preparing. He's going to be there with me. I'm not doing it alone. So everything's going to be presented, totally prepared.
All right.
So that's it. So there we go. So is there anything else? I'm
going to continue. Manhattan Project, literally a doomsday machine. He's claimed, was copied by the Soviets in 4 years. Why? Because tech leaks. Yeah, because of Ethel and Julius Rosenberg, right? And also,
that's all true. But how is it relevant to now? What
is spread? No one invents warp. He says no one invents warp drives in secret and hides it for decades. And he also says physics doesn't obey NDAs, and I agree with him. I agree with him, but the way he frames the way that physics is controlled is different than an understanding. We learned from Robert Maxwell that they literally bought out all these peer-reviewed journals, stocked all the top guys with CIA people, and then used it as like a honeypot trap for any good papers or stuff. They would grab the physics out,
true.
Edit it out.
That's true. It's all true. But listen, the point is this: that you have to Eric Weinstein. What you're getting to is Eric Weinstein's story of how the real physics was hidden back in the 50s. Okay, that happens.
Right?
Okay, let me finish. Okay, that happens to be true. I think that's basically true. In fact, my professors at Cornell were part of that. the point is that
Pergamon.
the basic physics of it is so elementary and so fundamental, which is why they hit it. Yeah, and I basically rediscovered it in around 2010. It took me that long to rediscover it because I was an idiot also. Travis Taylor claims that he kind of rediscovered some of it in the 1990s, and he may have, I don't know. So the fact is Travis Taylor and I apparently are on the same rough page on that, difference in details. So that so Travis Taylor is Travis Taylor is the only government kind of, military physicist that I know of who has basically the right idea, because the same idea that I have, and we basically, I guess, got it independently. Okay, so I should say that. I got to give Travis some credit too. So there we go. So the basic physics of it is quite elementary. It's quite obvious, and yes, they hit it. They hit it in plain sight. I think what Eric Weinstein says is basically correct. But now it's out in the open. But the problem is that most people are too stupid to understand what's right. They don't understand it. I'm showing them what it is. There's no NDAs, but the guys don't understand it. But the Russians understand it. The Chinese understand it. And hopefully I can get the President of the United States and the people around him who make the decisions, hopefully I can get them to understand it. And I'll also tell them not to defund the NSF, not to give Brian Keating and all these assholes any money.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah. I don't know what's up with Brian Keating and why he would talk like that. And
Well, because
he calls this a cargo cult because he sees funding going
well,
toward
okay. You see, but there's you see, it's a complex. There is a lot of cargo cult bullshit out there. He's referring Bob Lazar, Salvatore Paestes, Navy patents. There is if we were to go to every detail, say, what about this one? What about the case by case studies? He's actually correct. I agree with him. Yeah, most of the stuff out there is bullshit. But it's deliberate disinformation. In many cases, deliberate disinformation, and the intelligence agencies are using the cranks and the crackpots and the people, what CIA officer Ronald Pandolfi calls, the crooks and the loons and the grifters. Yeah. So there is.
But so how can you say that how can you say that you weren't used to and that like everyone else isn't used to like spread?
Yeah, because I'm smarter than they are. That's why.
But we got to prove this stuff. I want to.
Of course, I was used.
What I would do if I got a time machine is I'd go back to Hawkins's time traveler party on 28th of June 2009, and I'd be like, nope, you're wrong. We got it. We figured it out.
No, you can't believe. No, you cannot believe what Hawkins said publicly. What Hawkins said publicly is not. I have some evidence that it's not what he actually believed privately.
And
same thing like Trump. Same thing. Trump says, things publicly. It's not where he's, it's called misdirection.
Yeah.
Political reasons. So you can't take their surface statements literally without sort of, the reading between the lines. So there we go. So I don't really know. Maybe Keating is smarter than I think he is. Maybe he's just deliberately, putting out the disinformation because they're afraid that if terrorists get this technology, it's like handing an atom bomb to Al Qaeda or ISIS or something like that. So they're worried about that too. But that's part of it.
You told me it takes our lab's never going to do it. So why are they worried about these guys figuring out if you need billion-dollar labs and all this crazy stuff to do it? So
well, I didn't say that you're never going to do it. I said you might blow yourself up. by accident. What I'm saying is that if you don't understand the theoretical physics behind what you're doing, then what you're playing with, is potentially quite dangerous. More powerful. Okay, let's put that. More powerful than an atomic bomb, in principle. More powerful than that. That's what we're dealing with. Okay, and that's what this nuclear spin thing may turn out to be.
So his fifth post is belief in instant wizardry without evidence isn't science. It's technological creationism, the fantasy that a miracle
Yeah,
machine.
look at all these. Yeah, okay, who cares? Look, all these. Who cares what? Yeah, that's technically he's right about that. But so what? Has nothing to do with the reality of what's going on. Yeah, there is a lot of nonsense. Like I mean, a lot of what he says is true, but it's a bunch of smoke to hide the fire.
Yeah. Right. Well, again, he's built the CMB telescopes in Antarctica, and he's such a
Yeah, so good. That's great. That's great.
calibrator. How could he possibly not have seen these things?
Well,
And
that's another issue.
to the disclosure diehards, until you show a craft, a lab, or an equation that survives peer review,
Okay, but
stop.
the point is this. The point is this. They're not all the stuff that's known is classified, so they're not going to show it to anybody.
Yeah, but even we did the vacuum chamber test of the Biefeld Brown stuff, or Charles Bueller's stuff from NASA, and we got it working and showed that and they won't.
That's another issue. I don't know. I'm not qualified one. That is a tricky issue because there's so many things that can give systematic errors and so many mistakes experimentally. See your claims. I'm not saying you're wrong because I don't know. I'm not qualified one way or the other, but that would have to be.
I need to go down there and take a look at it myself.
That has to be gone over by independent. You need a guy like George Hathaway to come. Has Hathaway ever come to your lab? George Hathaway?
I got to get Mark on here and ask him, but
yeah, you need a guy at least like George Hathaway come and check what you've done. You need independent people to come and to see if they agree.
We need some of these guys to come. I mean, that's
the problem.
We're doing this stuff off of the work of Charles Bueller and those guys.
I don't know. I haven't followed that in details. I don't know one way or the other. But what I do know is that you have to have independent confirmation. Like, for example, Jim Woodward's stuff. It was very marginal. And there were just errors in his experimental technique that other people, like this guy Tajmar or the guy from Germany, and even Hathaway. Did Hathaway also check it out? So the point, especially if they're marginal effects, if they're small effects, there's many. See, experiments are not clean and simple, and that's the problem. And even the Cavendish experiment that I suggested, in principle, is a very simple experiment, but there are all kinds of things that even if one laboratory reports the effect that I predict, nobody is going to believe it. It's got to be at least 2 or 3. It's got to be replicated by independent groups.
Exactly. And Woodward is one of the people doing that. He also was James Woodward, he just passed away, and there's going to be a tribute for him tomorrow on the APEC stream tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow for that.
Wood was a nice man, very sweet, nice man, but he's like Don Quixote. He was charging windmills. He didn't understand the theory very well. His physics was wrong. And I don't think his thing ever had a chance of working, but he's a kind of an anti-heroic figure like Quixote. He was passionate and believed in what but you have to ask this guy. The guy worked. Jim was a professor at is it Fresno? Not Fresno. I forget the name. Northridge, one of the colleges, and this guy Keith Wanza worked with him.
Yeah.
And for a while, and Keith can tell you why his stuff was not right, and so there we go. So,
but he like when there was no other APEC conference, there was the Estes Park conference, and that's what Woodward used to run. And but
the point is, most of that stuff was not good physics. It was wrong.
Well, a lot of APEC stuff is not all good physics.
I agree. Listen, there's only one correct way of doing this.
It's to bulldoze the field, man. That's like what we had to do. We had to just pave the way and throw everything against the wall and throw a whole bunch of shit against the wall until something sticks. That's kind of like, it's messy. But hey.
Okay, but the point is now that the problem is understood. The problem is now understood. So any experiments have to be done. have to be done in terms of the real physics, which I have been giving. It's up on x.com on Grok. Everything's, and it's on Academia Edu. And you have to start from, and then try to design your experiments. Now, the nuclear spin stuff that Sokol's doing, nothing's going to happen there until I get the patents out and they become published. And then, because I can't reveal, there's some real breakthroughs there, that, to make real devices. But, so it's going to have to wait till I get the okay and, till we have the patents.
Well, I just don't know what to believe anymore. I feel like we were just led on for the past.
What you've got to do is, you could believe you should go online and try to understand what I've published. Because that's Einstein, that's mainstream physics. I have a PhD in physics. I was a physics professor at San Diego State. I know how to teach the damn thing. And the equations are right there. And if you understand enough mathematics and physics, if you're competent enough, then you don't have to believe anything. You see it, there it is. Plain as day. But the problem is that most people, are not able to understand at the level, like Louis Elizondo can't understand this, no matter what. He can never understand it, right? Elizondo, right? Christopher Mellon, they can never understand this.
Yeah, they're not. They don't have the. They'll forget it.
And certainly Joe Rogan can't understand it.
Right.
Now, Keating should be able to understand if he just sat down and did a little homework. It's not that hard.
That's what I was trying to get him to do, man. You saw when I brought him on my show, I gave him a whole bunch of.
I hope to be surprised. I hope he proves me wrong, but he won't do it. He's not. He's fundamentally a dishonest academic, as far as, and I hope to be proved wrong about that.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. Just
No, I don't. He's proven you right with this stream of posts that he did, and how. Instead, he hasn't kept an open mind. Like numerous people have posted, like other scientists, PhDs have like posted in the comments, like refuting his positions on many of the things he said, and he's just digging his heels in further.
All right, so let him. So who cares?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
This is the whole.
Okay. All that really matters. All that really matters is if I actually get to go to Mar-a-Lago in the next month or two, and actually sit down. Susie Wiles, as chief of staff, apparently penciled in like a 2-hour meeting. With other people there, not just me. But if that happens, and we know that Trump's uncle, right? Is a John Trump, was a professor at MIT, and we got all the Tesla stuff when Tesla died, and Trump's uncle was part of the World War II era, MJ-12, whatever you want to call it. So Trump may already know a lot about this, but I don't think. But Trump doesn't understand physics and math very well, I'm sure. So I gotta, the issue is whether I can sell, whether I can make a deal, whether I can cut a deal with the great deal maker, with Mr. Trump, and get him to understand that he's got to do this because the Russians already. I was told that Putin. I was told by Russians that Vladimir Putin follows my work. No, that's what I was told. I don't know if it's true, but it was. I was asked. I was on Channel 5 St. Petersburg television. Apparently twice. I saw one thing. They came and interviewed him. So there's some. There's definitely smoke there. I was told that Vladimir Putin understands basic physics and math and is really into this stuff. That's what I was told. Is it true? I don't know directly. I have some indirect circumstantial evidence that it's true.
That'd be pretty cool.
So we're talking about geopolitics here. This is we're talking about the big picture. And wait. And then if these NHI, remember, they're Hastings, Robert Hayes, right? They're neutralizing nuclear weapons, right? This is big. This has to do with nuclear war and peace, whether we, or nuclear war. You got to remember, my professors built the atomic bomb.
Right.
I'm you know, my professors were at the Manhattan Project. I was at Bohemian Grove. At Bohemian Grove, they were trying to start this thing, you know, to do Manhattan Project 2.0. But the guy in charge of it, sadly, 2 years ago, passed away. Yeah, at the Bohemian Grove. That's where the first Manhattan Project came. So this is serious stuff. So we don't care what a little pipsqueak, what Brian Keating says. Yeah, he has a following. How many people does he have? 1 million people? What does he have? Do you know what his following is?
Who? Keating?
Yeah, Keating, whatever. Keating. What's his following?
Let me just look. I know he's up. He's over 100,000 now.
All right.
Because I remember when he hit that mark. But yeah, he's at 321 subs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have 14,500 on X.com. You know, and
That's all right. You know, he's got 3 times as many as I do. But then again, he's been pushed by the deep state algorithm.
yes, of course, and he has you know, the whole University of California, you know, apparatus giving him more credibility, just the way Abbey Loeb has Harvard. And all
Yeah. Well, he's also pushed, and you know, like, and he's got he's got a production. There's no way he edits and does all this that stuff himself.
Yeah, he's got money. He's got money behind him.
He's got money for the production. He pays some students or
Okay.
something.
But the point is, he's afraid to confront me like I'm confronting you, face to face, so we could see, you know,
with a whiteboard.
Yeah, all Keating has done is to make vague, smearing, slanderous, ad hominem remarks. Of course,
there's also straw man because he's grouping us in with the Electric University.
Yeah, straw man, and the thing is to say, okay, let's take case by case. Point one, you know, Mr. Smith, he says this. And probably on most of these things, on all the examples Keating's going to bring up, I'd probably agree with 90% of it. But he hasn't, you know, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of crap there. But, you know, but it's hiding the real. So there's a lot of smoke, but I have the fire. I have the fire of the gods, so to speak. And then, we could debate that. The blackboard equations. I write my equation. He writes his equation. What's wrong with this or this? You know, you have a real discussion the way physicists have. But he's afraid to do that.
Yeah, right.
He's afraid to because I outgun him on the theory part. I believe me, I outgun him. He could say something. What about this telescope? I don't know a fucking thing about his telescope. I don't care. It's not relevant. I mean, I know he knows his stuff. Well, he wouldn't have been where he is. He knows, he's competent in his specialty.
Yeah, but he's trying to step outside of that circle to like a whole.
He's not competent. Okay, he's not a strategic thinker.
It reminds me of, Lord Baron von Kelvin when he said flying machines are impossible and like they'll never be a thing of the future because he's going off everything they knew of the day and he's real sure of the physics and smart about himself and
yeah. Hey, by the way, I'm a member of a club in London that Lord Kelvin was also a member of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, is there anybody else? Does anybody want to ask? Is there anybody here watching? Are we just the two of us? Let's take questions.
We got 117 viewers. Let's get throw your questions in the chat, all caps. And what do you guys want me to ask Jack to talk about? Ask him a question. Let's go, people. Let's get this going. And by the way, Jack, that was awesome. I that you came in. They were talking about you in one of those spaces. And they were like, "Is that guy serious?" I was like, "No, he's like, Jack's like legit. He's a real physicist, and he knows some of like the top like world class people." And then you showed up right on cue. That was perfect.
All right, yeah. So what? Yeah. So does anybody have an intelligent question? It's the question.
Yeah. Oh well, I have some questions, stuff we could talk about, but I might.
See if there's anybody in the audience who has anything interesting.
You are both cranks. Thank you.
Yeah, by crazy Mr. Scientist. All right. Yeah.
World fairs, expeditions all over Earth.
Okay, so you see how stupid people are? You see how stupid the public is? I mean, it's like morons.
Are you a robot?
Okay, so you have a lot. So okay, these are. See,
There we go.
is there? Okay, I'm like Yahweh. Is
Mass
there?
production. What about
Is,
mass production? Do you think they
what
can?
about? Well, okay, it's bullshit. Now I have online and a detail. Anybody who says mass reduction is an idiot or is so stupid. I throw them off the bridge, throw them off my stage. Okay, because if you have mass reduction, listen, listen, idiot, do me a favor, Jeremy. Just let me finish a sentence before you butt in. Okay, it's just noise. You know, that people don't get it. Then they it's just they don't understand anything. I was about to say that in the atomic bomb explosion, Hiroshima, well, it was like 12,000, 15,000 tons of TNT. It was less than a gram of inertial mass was converted to energy. So in the 64 kilograms or so of the bomb material, less than 1 gram of that was converted. You know, the inertial mass of the 64 kilograms was reduced by about 0.7 of 1 gram. So what the fuck if you reduce the mass of the ship of, say, a 3,000 pound ship, a 3,000 kilogram ship to zero? You're going to destroy the Earth, you idiot. So anybody who says that is a fool.
Wait, are you talking about mass energy conversion or?
Yes. Well,
like,
if you reduce.
What about? I think he's talking about like a way to shield the mass from.
No, he's talking about that. They talk about inertial mass reduction. This is what they mean. Let's make something something simple but stupid into something that they, let's not hide what they're saying. They're talking about reducing the mass of the ship to zero. And even if you could do that, it wouldn't help anyway. Even if there wasn't an explosion, it wouldn't help. Because then what you have is basically it's a light ray, And so how do you control the light ray? So the point of the thing is so stupid that anybody says that. And by the way, apparently somebody from Lockheed Martin said that. If that's the truth, then there's a real problem because these idiots from Lockheed Martin are stealing billions of dollars for bullshit, total bullshit. Then you need a grand jury. Then you talk about treason and defrauding the government. It's so stupid. Okay, so obviously, so anybody who doesn't see through that is not qualified to talk about anything. So just keep their mouths shut and try to learn some real science. And this, I'm sure Brian Keating and I will agree about this. This particular thing, Keating and I are, I'm sure, on the same page. Any physicist. So that was okay. Any other questions? That was a good question.
Hey man, we're all just trying to learn here, Jack.
Yeah. Okay. So does anybody else have anything intelligent, or semi-intelligent, not completely stupid to ask? I mean,
Oh, that was funny. Come on, man. This is common gold.
Can anybody in this audience even formulate a good English sentence?
I can.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people out there.
I know. I'm trying to reading stuff. If you fly a warp drive in the atmosphere, does a warp drive interact with surrounding matter? For example, if it crashes into something solid.
Yeah. That's a good question. That's a good question.
Yeah, like what happens if you? I mean, there are the ones that can.
Yeah. Now the point is, it depends. It's a complex. Under certain conditions, it effectively doesn't interact, but then it can also, So it's a good question, complicated question, and the answer is that both things can happen under different conditions, because obviously when the Tic Tac does what it did, flying at very high speed, making a high speed turn, there's no friction with the atmosphere there. Right? There's no heat. There's hardly any heat. It's cold. Oh, by the way, did you watch Admiral Tim Gallaudet?
On Danny Jones. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Danny Jones. He said something very important. he was talking about the submariners. They encountered this big like spherical object, and they pinged it. They went active, and that there was no noise coming from it. You see, which is exactly the sort of thing that I'm talking about. It's warp drive. See that there was no signs of engines, sounds of engines, stuff like that. So that's and then it quickly accelerated very fast out of the way, and it didn't leave the ordinary turbulence in the water. So that's the sort of thing. And so that's where the warp field is being shielded against relative motion with the molecules in the water, with the fluid itself. So there are ways of doing that. So that's an aspect of the question that was asked. That was a good question, a complicated question. Sorry, I couldn't give a clearer answer, but the issue is that both things happen under different circumstances. Is there not? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. By the way, everything the admiral says, I agree with, because I happen to have another Navy source, independent of the admiral, which also has very similar information. So
are there any legit engineering physicists actually working on warp drives? Well, Sonny White, right? Is he working on real warp drive, or is he just?
No, he has no. His thing will never work. I mean, it's not that it's wrong; it's okay, but it's just too weak. He doesn't have the right idea. No, the answer is no. I don't think so.
Not at least publicly.
Unless in secret, he's doing something else. But in terms of his published work,
yeah. Well, I don't doubt that. But I doubt that. I mean, but that doesn't mean there aren't other.
These guys, none of these guys know.
The thing is that the Lockheed Martin hired Dr. Bernard Hayes, for example, in the late '90s.
I worked with Bernie Hayes. I worked with Bernie. I know we were.
Well, Lockheed hired him to work on warp drives for Lockheed. So
but Bernie, he knows certain things. Bernie and Hal put up. They're nice guys, but I know Bernie. He doesn't have it. He didn't have it. None of us had it back then. In fact, I didn't have it back then either.
Oh, Todd
we were working together. We're in the same group.
Yeah, I know. Todd was working with him too. I know. All you guys, Ricardo, Storti, and everyone else.
I don't remember them, but I'm talking about we were in San Francisco, and actually Bernie was down in Palo Alto area, so he was with Jacques Vallée, and but we would occasionally meet. But their PV theory, I don't want to get into that because it's a digression. It doesn't. Really, they didn't. Bernie never had the right idea. He said, "That's why he doesn't." In fact, I didn't have the right idea until 2010, and Bernie and I were in the same group in 1999 to like 2000, just for 2 years.
Well, is this isn't like how do you make metamaterials that exhibit left-handed chirality for electrostatic fields?
Listen, go ask Grok. That's a nice, good question, but has nothing to directly to do with what we're talking about.
Yeah, we can ask Grok.
It's not a relevant detail. Now, I'm not going to. We don't have time, with sound bites to go into. You go into Grok. I'll show you. You'll have like a 10-page analysis. Okay. So at least it's an intelligent question, but it has no. There's no point wasting time on it here, given what we're trying to do here. But it's a good question.
Yeah. So people are asking. All right. Well, thanks for your time, Jack. I don't know. You can stick around and hang out. I mean, people are asking about other stuff that I'm gonna start talking about now if we're done with the physics questions and all that. Okay. Yeah, basically, Brian Keating is stubborn. I don't know if he's still working as a gatekeeper, regardless whether he's witting or unwitting.
He's a gatekeeper. He's a disinformation agent. Okay, what he is. They all are. Avi Loeb is too. Avi Loeb.
What about Hassenfelder, Sabina?
Oh yeah, no, I like her. She's good. No, she's not.
Bad videos. Did you see her video on anti-gravity?
I'm not sure. Yeah, but I'm sure what she says about anti-gravity, I would agree with, because she's talking about flaky things about there's all kinds of claims of anti-gravity that are flaky. I haven't actually watched this particular one yet, but basically Sabine, she's the real thing. She's the real thing. And there's also Eric Weinstein is too.
Watch this one with the Cybertruck, the anti-gravity Cybertruck.
What does he say?
That's the one you gotta watch, man. I don't know. You're gonna
Send
be furious.
Send me the link. Send me the link. I don't know. Yeah, but let's put it this way. I'm pretty sure. What did she say? So what did she say?
She has no clue. Just like Brian, she just doesn't know the science, the history, or any of that stuff. Like you can
Well,
tell.
I don't. I'd have to. But the point is this: I could have, in fact, at some point, that maybe Sabine and I will do podcasts or something. We'll see. And we can have an intelligent. She's an intelligent woman. She has good sense of humor. She's smart. She's a smart cookie, basically.
Yeah, but she
And
gets this.
also, if she knew what I knew, see, I know certain things that I can't talk about.
But this is the crazy thing is she's gotten more views on this one video than I've gotten on my channel.
Well, there's a big interest. There's a big interest in this. Okay, I'll watch that. If you could send me the link to that, I'll watch. Okay,
yeah, I'll email it to you as well.
Yeah, I'll let you do your thing. Okay, I'm gonna sign off now. So,
all right, thank you.
Okay, bye. Okay, bye. So how do I do this?
I'll send you that right now, and I will.
Okay. So,
put you in the back
page.
Yep. There, and you can just close the window, and you're gone, man. All right, guys. Later, Jack. Well, thank you very much for that. Yeah. Well, anyways, this is a team effort. We all need to work together to change the status quo of the understandings of the scientific community. They'd be much more open-minded if there was less of the sort of showboating and more of just, here's the experiments, here's what we're working on, here's the science, here's how you can get involved and help. And I think that community exists in the APEC community that we started in 2020 after actually maybe it was 2021, the pandemic, right in the middle of the pandemic, I believe. And man, have we really been doing it for 5 years now? That's crazy. But yeah, this community brings lots of people together. We're just all trying to work for the same thing. And yeah, so I guess you could call it cargo cult physics, as Brian Keating refers to it. But you don't learn about how airplanes work and how all that stuff works, and you don't just jump right to that. You have to go through the steps first and understand a little bit how you get there. So yeah, man. Anyways, yeah, there was a fallout between me and Ashton Forbes over the doxing and threats that I received when I came out on Danny Jones. That I was the one that had recommended that Danny get some subject matter experts to analyze and assess the credibility of those MH370 videos. He in turn got Corridor Crew to come and analyze the videos, and they did a synopsis where they went through the video and got them to watch the clip. And they went and found the software that was used. They found the stock effects. They found the stock imagery, and did a real good job of matching it up and showing how it was faked, and then almost certainly how it was faked. And then Ashton had a fit about that and said that they're disinformation agents. They don't know what they're talking about, and and that was a year ago. And but when I haven't been on Danny Jones since then. The last time I went on Danny Jones, like a whole bunch of bad stuff started happening to me in my life, and then this time I go on Danny Jones and tons of stuff crazy just starts happening too. I swear they tap my phone. They're calling like jobs that I'm trying to get like for my contracting business and ruining contracts for me. And I haven't worked in like a month since I got back from the Danny Jones podcast. And it's people on there all accusing me of on Danny Jones's podcast. I got tons of people accusing me of being, this guy's a fed, he works for the CIO, this guy's paid psyops and counterintelligence, and all this horrible stuff, which is just, it really, it wouldn't hurt so bad if they weren't defending, like the Jeremy Corbell, who's got his own show on TMZ. He just bought a $5.7 million mansion in Ojai, California, a few years back. That was fully furnished, by the way, even though he claims on his program that he flips and sells houses for a living. Well, you don't buy a fully furnished, fully remodeled house if you flip houses. You buy old, run-down ones and you fix them up. Rich people do that. And you also don't wear $70,000 Rolex like Jeremy Corbell does. So I don't have any of that stuff. I wore a cheap Macy's suit, and I couldn't even afford a new tie when I lost mine at the airport or in my luggage somewhere. So yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, what went on that podcast and since then, and all the shenanigans. And like, I literally have negative $500 in my account right now. I'm waiting on a check tomorrow to like get my account back in the positive. And these people are accusing me of being, the Fed and the CIA agent and the disinfo person, and not the guy who has his own show on TMZ called UFO Revolution. And then the whole Ashton Forbes thing is really crazy because Ashton has a huge ego, thinks he knows more about the science than he does. He grandstands and challenges all these physicists and people to debates on the science, which he really doesn't understand very well. And I didn't see this stream yet, but I'll maybe go watch. I don't know. I really stopped watching Ashton's stuff after that whole fallout we had between us, where Wright is in the middle of me talking about how I was the one that suggested we get subject matter experts to independently look at and verify stuff, right? And Ashton's response to that is to, I get doxxed live on air and immediately sent death threats texted to my phone. And whether it was Ashton or not, it's his people, and it's the associates and the whole gang of that he's created, the whole following he's built up and created, which is, again, it's drawn. I didn't say anything about it because it's just he drawing attention to a lot of science and stuff, and then he gets it wrong, so people go look this stuff up, and they maybe find better sources for that information if they go and look it up. But he's really flooded a lot of the space with just different stuff. He's into the electric universe stuff for a while. He was into these free energy machines things, and just doing the whole tour of fringe physics in the last year or two, and really getting a lot of just stuff, not being super careful, not being super smart about all this stuff. But I don't quite understand what's going on with all that, because Ashton's it's not okay to promote people like threatening Dave, Professor Dave's family, and the stuff that went on, like some of the posts that Ashton has made. It's just it's uncalled for. And if regardless of whether it's him or not, I hope he got a wake-up call about doing that to people in the communities. Like, that's not how this is done. And then how he interacts with Brian Keating and the whole, he's turning off the academic community more than ever to the possibility of these new science and these alternative theories and ideas. He may not even realize that himself, that that's what he's doing, but that's what he is doing. He's driving a huge wedge because of the attitude. And I've done that myself because of just frustration of, people not paying attention, people calling you a crank and a quack and a weirdo, and all the name calling and all the associations that people make, like, oh, and it's like, yeah, I'm just trying to figure some of this stuff out. And I have exposed a lot of it as nonsense. And when I do expose it as nonsense, I say so. But there's a lot of this stuff that we really don't know for sure. And you can't just, be like, oh, I work at the Ice Cube neutrino detector, so therefore I'm the best scientist in the world, and this couldn't possibly exist without me knowing about it. So it's just I really wish and I didn't do bad on the on the podcast overall, man. But again, I get all this hate and attacks for just trying to get information out and talk about things that are important. And then you get Brian Keating calling me a UFO true believer, and I'm not. I don't believe in UFOs. In fact, I have a lot to say about UFOs in general with metamaterials and invisibility technology, and what the real UFO program is. If you look up all the CIA stuff on it, it's so much more than just what this limited hangout op that they're showing you in the public is all about, you know? So Brian Keating sees all that crap, and he's right. He's right about the physics of the stuff that's been presented is not convincing to the greater scientific community. It's not like, it's nonsense. And then again, he doesn't have the knowledge of the technology, so he gets a lot of this stuff wrong about, you know, ways that all this stuff can be explained. And if you watched my channel and paid attention to this stuff, then he get that, but he doesn't care about that material, doesn't watch any of that stuff. Never did, never will. And when I started bringing stuff up and talking and changing I let him like gloves off for the first hour, and then I started, you know, asking him hard questions, and he immediately said, "I got to go. I can't be on this," you know, and left my podcast. And that was just very telling to me. If your show's called Into the Impossible, you need to entertain some of this. At least find people who are smart enough to have navigated this field for years to talk to. Just frustrating, man. It's like, I hate being lumped in the category with all the nut jobs and stuff. And then again, I don't even agree with everything Jack says. And you know, he comes on and wants to, you know, take over the conversation in the show, and that's fine. You know, I let him talk and say his piece. He's got the right to. But again, man, how do we know what's going on with this stuff without the experiments? You know, experiment is the arbitrator of competing hypotheses, and that's why we set up the APEC conference. That's why we do that's why we consult with subject matter experts and get lots of different opinions in, and try to think tank the whole thing. And so Falcon Space did this video with Biefeld-Brown, right? The Biefeld-Brown effect in the vacuum, right? There's a video right here. I'll post it in the chat so people can go check it out, right? This was in response. We did this whole experiment and set this all up in response to Jesse Michaels, who put out a $50,000 challenge. If you go to, you know, Jesse Michaels' YouTube channel and you search for Biefeld-Brown, right? You'll find this documentary right here. 900,000 views, and you go right to the end here, and the 50K Biefeld-Brown bounty, right? So that's the money. Okay, let's I'm gonna reshare this screen so we can hear it. Okay.
Townsend Brown's death. Townsend Brown was an unrefined, not super educated inventor who made real breakthroughs. So in that vein, I'd like to offer a $50,000 bounty to anyone who can prove the Biefeld-Brown effect under two conditions. Number one is the person has to conduct the experiment in a vacuum chamber to prove that the thrust effect isn't due to ion wind. And number two, you have to let us film it. So reach out to usa.alchemy@gmail.com if you're interested, and please, if possible, lead with any experience you have doing experiments like these. But as I've said, I have no dog in this fight, so I will also pay the $50,000 to anyone who definitively disproves the Biefeld-Brown effect, as long as I feel like they are a good faith actor. That would kind of blow, but hey, it would get us closer to reality. Again, as a BA in history who rarely attended his college courses, and has completely armchair takes on physics, I'm not sure whether Brown's experiments made their way like aerospace
power
in the
goes
form
out.
of
That's
exotic ionic propulsion or more fundamental gravity manipulation. But I think either makes him dramatically more interesting than his blatantly manipulated Wikipedia page, and both would probably lay better foundation.
Okay. Well, we did it, man. We did it. We spent a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort to have this experiment. And I want to go down there and see it firsthand, because some people say, oh, well, it's pushing off this wire that's taped to the outside of the glass. So what is this extra wire taped to the outside of the glass, and what's that doing there? And how do we know that this isn't just pushing off of that with eddy currents or some other way? So there's some experimental questions that have arisen in the whole setup, but we still have the rig, we have the high precision balance, we have the little thrusters that were built by one of our colleagues. I think these were built by Nam Tran, who's a Vietnamese researcher working on this stuff as well. So we have an international team trying to vet the Biefeld-Brown effect right now, and we shown that it works inside of a -6 torr hard vacuum in this 15-inch bell jar. So where's the prize money, man? You can come down we invited Jesse Michaels down with when there was a bunch of other scientists going to come down to the lab and be there at the same time to view this, and he could work with them, and there'd be plenty of people there to vet stuff, and no word from Jesse, man. He'd rather go to Peru and hang out with Jaime Maussan, a known hoaxer. So it's really sad that happened. It's really unfortunate, and I gave Jesse all the chances in the world, texted him many times, asked him, what's going on, like what's happening with this. We even, said something to him out at the UAP hackathon, where they handed out several like $15,000 prizes to like a couple of different, like a group working on psionics stuff got like a $15,000 prize to work on stuff, and there was a whole bunch of prize money given out, but we still haven't seen the $50,000 for doing the propulsion research and this study, and Jesse hasn't come down to the lab in New Jersey to cover Mark's research or or film what this group's doing. It's like, what is going on? And I began to like really question Jesse when he filmed a 2-hour interview with me out on the USS Hornet and edited it down to about 10 minutes and mixed it up with Danny Sheehan, who I may or not agree with on all the points that he makes about the JFK assassination and his takes on stuff. So I just thought that, man, Jesse, you're better than that, man. You didn't have, you could have given me my own interview. It was cool that it came out right around Joe Rogan. I thought that you were trying to push to get me on Joe Rogan or something there. But I feel like now that you buried it and you buried this whole story, this would be a huge story right now if the right people covered it and more people were talking about it. But when people like you, who are like the go-to guys in this, this whole sphere, ignore stuff like this and don't honor $50,000 prizes when you put out the challenge for it, it really hurts this community seriously, and it hurts your credibility. It's destroyed your credibility, because now I'm convinced that you work for Peter Thiel, and all these people that said all this bad shit about you are fucking right, man. Like, prove them wrong, man. Like, you're better than that. Are you or are you not? Are you really Peter Thiel's boy working for like disinfo and stuff and pushing psionics and Jake Barber and all this other nonsense? Because that came right from your channel, man. What is up with that garbage information that you put out? Like, you should be smarter than that. Like, you're a smart guy. I don't understand how you can mix that crap up and then not give dues where dues is due. Anyways, I just don't even know how to deal with this anymore, man. I'm like, fucking, like, these people are out there making huge amounts of money. Like, I went on Danny Jones. I got fucking arrested. I had charges pressed on me and a whole bunch of shit that was made up. And I had to fight the crap in court. I lost like $30,000 in legal fees and lawyers and stuff. And and I couldn't go on podcasts for 2 years because of all the restrictions and stuff, man. It's a disgrace what has happened to like real truth tellers and people that want to actually get information out. They literally will target your personal life and destroy everything around you using the system, the corrupt system that they have at their disposal to do it, man. It's so messed up. And I literally had I had like $30,000 worth of podcast equipment, microphones, recording equipment, and computers, and everything got stolen along with, like, and I'm at like I don't even know what to do with my life now. Like I had to like get a little bit of time to throw a podcast together in my living room, my spare time right now. And I got laid off right into the slow season of and I've been like, and now it's a recession, man. Trump's ruined the economy in these blue states up here, man. Nobody wants to do any work. They put off all their home repairs. So like, that's what I do for my business. So my construction business, like in a summer where I'd normally make like $50,000, I've made less than 10,000. And I don't know if it's just the economy or I want to put some ads out and then like have other people I know like text me for like fake job leads to see if they're tapping my phone and they get calls for people. I want to make sure that nobody's messing with my stuff. I'm going to do a little investigation here because it's just, I have not had a call, and the calls that I've gotten are just not serious people that are just, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with the economy, with what's going on. Like if I had $50,000 for this experiment and split it with Mark, or it's got to go a couple ways because Mark didn't work alone. So even 10,000 right now would like totally friggin' it would save my life. And I normally can get a job like a $20,000 job. I can't find these nobody's doing work, or there's just too many other contractors out there underbidding stuff. And the work that I do see, I'm getting all these people like, oh, I hired this guy, a handyman, or I hired this other guy to do my bathroom. But they fucked this up. Can you fix it for me? And my response is like, fuck no, I'll have to rip it all out and do it from scratch because I don't trust anybody else's work. And it's just crazy. I need to get down to New Jersey. I've been meaning to plan. I've been planning like, all right, I'm going to save up money with all the jobs I'm going to get this summer. And I'm going to go to New Jersey and film these lab tests myself in the fall, like August or September. Now here it is. We're nearing September. I have negative $500 in my account and rent's due in a day. And it's like, you fucking people. And meanwhile, these fucking lying pieces of shit are out here like making millions of dollars. Totally
Secrets, cover-ups,
fake bullshit garbage, and leading a complete controlled opposition, phony limited hangout front operation. And well, they're not even really getting a lot of views. They're really not. A lot of these views are overinflated, and they got bots and stuff on all this crap. They got fake whistleblowers.
In the third,
Matt Brown liar. They got fake bullshit, fake programs, everything fake to distract the public and distract researchers and sow disinformation into the whole movement. And they're getting millions of dollars, and like they literally millions of dollars funneled into these people. And their bank accounts, right? And they're buying $1 million homes. Okay. Buying $1 million homes, having multiple $70,000 Rolex watches. And people don't think that this is the disinformation, that these guys are the ones telling the truth, and that I'm a fucking agent trying to disrupt the real truth movement and shut down the whistleblowers and all. That's how they frame me, and they get away with it. Dude, he took all the friggin' illegal immigrants and kicked them out of the country. That's like, that should have been half my competition gone. Business should be fucking booming right now. Doesn't make sense, dude. I don't understand what's going on, man. I work hard. I've had to take a couple really small jobs for really, crap money just to stay busy, just to stay and keep my bills paid, man. I just, I don't know, man. Don't give up. What choice do I have, man? Like, honestly, I'll probably multi-stream APEC tomorrow, but this is, I gotten 2 super chats for $20 and $2, but honestly, like, I used to make like $700 a month, and just residual income off of my YouTube channel and the AdSense and the videos and stuff. Now I make like 15 cents. They've literally, like, I used to get like 1,000 viewers, maybe 700, live viewers. Now I get like 100, 150. There's some algorithmic throttling and shadow banning. This should go out to 100,000 people if I have 100,000 subscribers. We're playing a rigged game, man. They've totally, like, taken over the disinformation, flooded the whole field with AI, absolute bullshit. And they've put Peter Thiel's boy and their people in charge of the fucking narrative control. And they're controlling the narrative. And look what they're doing with it. It's fucking obvious, dude, that these people are narrative control, and look what they're fucking doing to the narrative. Massive cover-up. This is the alien. This is the real information, bro. Bro. Hey, butthead. I mean, this is like the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. It's literally the dumbest. These people are mutilating human and animal corpses and slathering them in paper mache and plaster. And no, DKK. I thought it was $2,000, man. That would have been awesome. What is DKK? Is that like 5 cents? Oh my God. That would have, if I had $2,000 right now, that would just, and please, if you're going to send me $2,000, don't send it in a super chat, bro. Send it to my Bitcoin. Here, let me post my Bitcoin. Oh man. Yeah, it has been the roughest summer, the roughest past month, I think, in a very long time for me. But yeah, you can send me Bitcoin right here. Here's my address for Bitcoin. I have never gotten sent Bitcoin. I always post my Bitcoin address and say, hey man, send me Bitcoin. But instead I get people like doxing my Bitcoin address and being like, oh, here's your Coinbase address, and this is everything you did, and blah, 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 and this is this and this and that. And I mean, I should be using the friggin' Coinbase sucks. I should be using Kraken, but whatever. I'll take it, man. If that's $313, I'll take it. So yeah, man. That's awesome. I appreciate that, dude. That definitely helps out. That can pay my car insurance bill, so my car won't get repoed now. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Even though I have to wait a month to get the money, it will go into account, and then they send it through AdSense at the end of the month. So yeah, I need to figure something out, bro. It's been a rough time. I mean, time to roll up your sleeves and get to work, man. I don't know why Jesse Michaels ditched the Byfeld Brown stuff. I really think if he covered the Byfeld Brown thing, it would make way bigger news, because the scientific community looks at this and they just laugh. They don't even want to touch it. It's just too much stigma, too much bullshit, and it's it's not super controversial enough in the right ways. It's controversial. I'm sure, you know, there's people that swear by these things are real and they have alien DNA. And how do they fake the non-human DNA in these things? Pretty easy. You just rub a bunch of frog gel all over it or something weird, you know, like with other DNA. So, oh, DK sent another. Oh my God, Mr. Sunshine. What? Yeah, and you can make direct payments through Venmo. That's Jeremy Rish AS is my Venmo. And I'll be watching my Venmo. I'll definitely, you can make it private if you don't want to be known, or if you make it public, I will let people know. People will be able to see it there at Venmo. If anyone wants to Venmo me, that would be amazing. I would totally accept Venmo payment right now if someone wants to help me out, pay my bills and my rent this month, because they like, I don't know what to do, man. I put ads out and all I get is these spam calls, and I got a job to go look at this job for this guy, this Chinese guy, and right, and he's got 4 bathrooms that are all started and 4 showers that are all started like and not finished. And he says, oh, my other contractor, he got arrested. And you know, I don't want to pry too much, because you know, normally I'd be like, well, what's his name? Because it's like a red flag when you go into a job that's already like halfway done and they had another contractor leave. It's like, did you not pay the other contractor? Do you guys have you know, what happened there? Yeah, I got permanent banned from X, dude. You know how many people post like incredibly violent things and threats to death? It was like I posted something about like COVID stuff and an MMA fighter that challenged to fight me. And I said, yeah, like I'll beat your ass. And they perma banned me for violent speech for that. Like, there's so much like crazy violent speech that people say like, oh my God, we should just carpet bomb the whole Middle East. Why don't we get rid of Gaza? Like, people saying shit like that, literally, and not getting hit. Someone, I guarantee you, these trolls are out there watching right now, and they're going to flag my video for that right there, what I just said, and try to get it banned for that. Guaranteed. And they're going to be like, and some AI will be like, oh my God, he did say that. And then they'll have to have an actual person go through and watch it and be like, oh no, he's talking about this. He's just using it for context to say it, you know, clipped. Yep, exactly. There it goes, man. And yeah, man, I know people like that too. And to think that Elon's not controlling that stuff, dude, I think that Elon's definitely controlling that. He doesn't want people to know, like, I do not have the reach. And even if I pay for a premium account, which, you know, I need $300 to pay for my premium back. I don't have, if I go to x.com, right, what's really crazy is that on X, right, I'll show you guys this. I need to pay in order to get my blue check mark, get verified, right? It costs, it's $84 a year, but you want premium, right? I mean, premium plus, right? Which is $395 a year, right? So you can get premium basic, that's $84 a year. That'd be great. If I get a little bit of extra money here, I'm definitely going to sign up for at least premium. But this is like, everything's the largest reply boost. You get the largest reply boost for that, which is that would be really nice, because then I get actually up there in the competition where I should be, where people will actually see me. Here I'll actually be seen a little bit more, but there people will definitely see me. That would be nice. If I could afford it, I would totally buy the premium thing, but I'm still trying to save up $84 so I can buy this. I have so many bills due and stuff coming up, and then no work coming up, that it just I don't know what to do. Talk about like struggling artists, and people pretend that they're like put their heart and soul into this movement, but you can tell they've sold out. You can tell that they've like accepted a lot of money for stuff. And That's messed up, man. Yeah, right. Mr. Sunshine, I will gladly look up that patent for you, my friend. Let's see. I got to type it in, though. US 2013 009 326181. Oh, Edward Allen and Sir J. MacJarrett of Lockheed Martin Corporation. Cloud 1, Cloud 2. On the ground. Ground clouds. Vertical voltage gradient. And a LRC circuit. Oh, wait, you guys can't see this. Damn it. I thought I was sharing it. Sorry about that. RLC circuit. Vertical voltage gradient. Well, this is a cool patent. Thank you for that, DKK. Oh my God, he's just throwing money around at me, man. This is great. Look at this. Yes, sir. You earned that for sure. I will talk about your patents all day for super chats for sure. Yes, and don't forget, I also have Venmo. You can send me Venmo direct. That will help me get the money sooner and right away. So let me see. I want to see if people did send me Venmo. That would be great. Nope, I haven't got any Venmo yet. General to a system for harvesting atmospheric electricity, and more particularly to a system that uses a laser to form an electrically conducting plasma filament for harvesting atmospheric electricity. So you get a cloud. And what is this? You put a balloon? Is this a tether with a balloon up into the cloud? All right. So let me see. Claim where the plasma filament compromises an electrically conducting plasma filament. Okay, so they use a laser. So here's a laser with a mirror, and then they pump a laser up into the sky. So the laser plasma provides a conducting filament to take charge out of the cloud, right? Pulse laser is pulsed at an optimal repetition rate. The system of Claim 1, wherein the plasma filament is enhanced by a plurality of auxiliary electromagnetic waves. The system of Claim 5, wherein the plurality of auxiliary electromagnetic waves comprises at least one of radio frequency waves or microwaves. Okay. Conducting path between the ground and cloud, right. At least one lightning forms another part of the conducting path between the ground and cloud. So they got a laser and they shine it up at the cloud. But what happens with do raindrops reflect and kill that beam? I mean, that's just your gradient, your drop off for that laser beam is going to be worse in the harsher weather conditions, which harsher weather conditions, of course, make generate more electricity because the rain droplets falling from the cloud pull ions down to the earth and deposit them on the ground, right? So that's what charges the cloud. So it's harder. It would be harder to actually tap clouds using this because you'd have to do it during rainstorms, right? But anyways, yeah, I know this dude's great, man. This is like ask and you shall receive, man. That's the kind of help I needed. Like, God bless you, man. Like, my family's like, thanks you. You don't even know. Like, I couldn't even. Things have been just so absolutely crazy around here. since Danny Jones's podcast. And let's just make some predictions on Avi Loeb, because, you know, we got this space meteorite coming in. And, of course, Avi's going to try to get funding for his alien extraterrestrial alien hunt. So he's going to say everything he can about, you know, speculating on whether this might be an alien spacecraft, this interstellar visitor, so that he can get more money to, you know, to collect more data on this thing as it passes Earth and comes. And there are a number of conspiracy theorists and other people who believe that, you know, this is all getting hyped up as like the first interstellar contact event. That this is going to, the deep state's basically going to use this event to stage alien contact event, or, you know, a deep state fake alien contact event. And there may be like a prelude to an invasion, and then we got to like ramp up. There's going to be something going on with this. I just fear that the deep state and the military industrial complex, they need a new enemy. They're going to create a new enemy, and they need a new war. And new weapons to fight a new war. And this is what this was all, a lot of this stuff is all about, taking it to the next level, at least the military contractors and stuff. So this is, you know, what's going to happen, what's going to go on, my prediction anyway, for the next several months is that, you know, the secret's not going to be revealed. We're not going to get any Epstein files or clients list or any of that crap. There's going to be tons of mud thrown at that until the AI gets so good that nobody will even be able to tell what's real and what's not when that stuff does come out. The compromat value of that material is worth way more than anything else, and keeping those people in check and is basically, they realize if this comes out, everything's going to come out that's connected to this and so much more. And they're just going to lose complete control of the government and complete control. It's going to be bedlam and chaos. And that's what they're worried about. Although I doubt that would totally happen. But again, this what they're afraid of. And of course, they can't arrest any of these people, can't be arrested and brought to trial like that they're talking about. So like John Brennan, they're going to arrest John Brennan. Like that guy literally has so much dirt on the government that they would never arrest him or at least or try him with anything. It's never going to happen. But they're going to continue to classify all this technology, which they haven't really told the public about. They've done an incredible job suppressing, putting the toothpaste back in the tube, you know, getting people like Ashton Forbes to have got an enormous following now, talking about mixing, you know, a whole bunch of ridiculous nonsense in with the real science, until the point where the academics are just like, oh my God, that's the MH370 videos guy, and we're not even going to like pay any attention to what he has to say about physics or the science. And they're not going to pay attention to me or what I'm talking about, because they're going to say, oh, that's that guy, and that's that stuff already. So it helps shield the real physics and the real science from a lot of attention. You know, he's telling everyone about free energy and all this stuff. I talk about the cold fusion. He's talked a little bit about that, man. He's definitely taken some hints from me in my research and the things I've pointed out, which I'm not the bad guy, Ashton. You know, like we may not agree about the videos, but you know, we're in a fight now because you have people that get violent with people they don't agree with, instead of, you know, just debating the physics and the real science of what's really going on. Because how do we know we're not being put on or put off by a whole psychological operation? I mean, Hal's been involved with a whole bunch of psychological operations. And, you know, I just, I'm looking for new physics. I can't believe we live on a planet where we're still using rockets to get to space and to get off planet. I feel like spaceships were supposed to, you know, figure out other technologies years ago, and that it didn't happen for some reason. I blame a lot of the academic structure and the peer review paper process that was corrupted by Robert Maxwell and others for that whole suffocation and stifling of physics and putting physics into a box, or a black hole, so to speak. Dude, my Venmo is definitely Jeremy-RYS-AS. Oh, somebody sent me $100. I got $100. Oh my God, somebody sent me 100, dude. Holy crap. Charles did. What's up, man? Thank you so much, Charles. That was awesome. So my Venmo does work, and it's not Jeremy Riss. Someone else took that. I don't know who, but that is yeah, that is my Michael Charles. Yeah, I know it says Charles James, but not Michael. But that is my Venmo. If people want to send me some cash, man, like, oh, well, thank you, man. That will definitely help out if I get it. Hopefully it sends. Hopefully it posts, because the end of the month's here soon. But I don't know how that works. If it will, but yeah, that would definitely help out, man. I appreciate that, guys. You guys are awesome. I should just hold a conference or classes. I've been thinking of all these different ideas of stuff to do, but like, there's all these other channels that they got to a point, and they grew to a point where like they could actually, stop working and switch over to do the YouTube full time and actually make money off it and go somewhere and sustain themselves and everything. And I was just watching, Danny Jones's recent podcast there with the guy who scams the scammers, right? And man, like, that guy used to work, and for cyber security, and now like he just does YouTube now because he makes enough money off the videos and the content and stuff that he doesn't have to do that anymore. It's like, that would have been awesome. That was my dream years ago, and unfortunately people that I trusted destroyed that dream, and it sucks because I just, like, I've been really depressed and I had a real hard time trusting people, and like, it's led to a lot of like issues, in my own, should I trust people? I just want to ask the audience, like, what they think about, the whole thing that with Jesse Michaels. I'm going to ask the audience just a quick poll. Do you trust Jesse Michaels after what he did with the $50,000 prize? Just want to see what people have to say about that. Yes or no? Well, Danny Sheen, again, I always like thought that was funny because the real Daniel Sheen is the guy who works with Garrett Modell, the scientist, not the lawyer. Yeah, so you won't find, all you'll find is the lawyer guy when you look for Daniel Sheen on YouTube and stuff. So the other Danny Sheen, Daniel Sheen, Garrett Modell. You won't find it even with that search term limited. So Garrett Modell is one of the scientists who works with the other scientist, Danny Sheen. And very interesting guy, very interesting research, very interesting stuff that he's talking about. Michael's been talking a little bit about this stuff too. So Just want to bring this up. This guy, here's how I spell the name. Vlad Kapek. Vladislav Kapek. And you're not going to find anything on YouTube searching for that. But if you search on, yeah, this guy. Challenges to the second law of thermodynamics, theory and experiment, fundamental theories of physics, 2005 edition. So Daniel P. Sheehan, okay, the other Danny Sheehan guy, wrote this book, which you can pick up for the low price of $129.99 on Amazon right here. But this is the fundamental theories of physics that challenge the second law of thermodynamics, and basically how to build these systems that harvest energy and are super efficient, like reharvesting, or ways to get, use pH to. That was our experiment with the Danny Sheen stuff. We were trying to use pH to create a small amount of voltage and stuff. But yeah, so that's an interesting line of work too. I'm glad you guys mentioned the whole Danny Sheehan thing, because there's two different Danny Sheens. And on a new watch list club. Well, thank you, Peter, for the 20-pound note. That is much appreciated. We got Craig F. and DKK. Again, DKK, if you have any questions that I missed, or Craig, or anyone that donated in, like, feel free to ask questions. More than happy to answer you guys. Brave browser. Yeah, I have that too. What's the story with Jesse? Yeah, Michael is great. And that's one of my good friends, man. I just need to figure out this physics stuff, man. Yeah, Michael showed me that. Pretty cool stuff, dude. So yeah, if you want to dig into the free energy stuff, that's a cool book to go into. Also, check out Larry Forsley. Yes. Did it from you. Check this one out, guys, if you're into, the cold fusion and the free energy stuff. Larry Forsley just did a month ago on my friend's podcast, the Demystify Psi podcast. Check this one out, guys. They're doing some pretty cool work. They got some banger interviews. Ashton was just on there 5 days ago, but Nassim Harriman 12 days ago. Yeah, I got to go back and watch some of these. They've been doing pretty good with these banger guests. So keep up the good work, guys. Would love to talk to you again sometime soon too, man. It's been a while. I think you had me on in COVID. Have me on again, because, man, I feel bad. These guys had such an awesome channel and they were doing so good. And then, like, another Demystifying Science podcast or someone channel came over and took over their whole channel. And they also got kicked off and got their channel banned, dude, because and I feel partly responsible, because they had me on and they asked me questions about what I thought about COVID. It was during COVID, and I just gave, like, I was not saying a lot of stuff on my own channel and holding back a lot of my opinions and thoughts on COVID, because I just knew people were getting shut down. I actually, during COVID, the pandemic and everything, I pulled down all my 9/11 videos, if you remember, because shit was just like that people were getting kicked off and banned for that kind of stuff. So I just pulled down all that kind of stuff, and I really kind of just kept it like UFO, and I had to change up a lot of stuff during the whole COVID pandemic, right? But what happened is they brought me on their show, and I just let loose, and I said everything I was thinking, everything I thought. And if people can go back and watch that, they'll see all my COVID predictions like right there. And that was very early on in COVID, and I called it for exactly what it was and said what it was. And that video got there. I believe that was one of the videos that got them the copyright strike, and it might have been the one that sent them over the edge, because they had me on and I said all that very true stuff about the COVID and what was going on with the pandemic and science and everything, the death of science and the settled science and all that nonsense. And that video got banned and probably got them kicked off at YouTube. So I feel really bad, guys. I feel you haven't had me back on your podcast since then. And I promise I won't talk about 9/11 or COVID. If I go on your podcast again, we can talk about safe stuff. Yeah. I don't have my audio on the Amy Eskridge video. The Amy Eskridge video that I released on my YouTube channel, right, was actually my Jeremy Riss YouTube channel. So I'd have to go to this one. This is the podcast I made public and posted it, right? So originally that was a screen recording, and that just recorded my audio output and what was on my screen. So my audio input was not recorded on that video, because it was just me documenting and recording the conversation, because I didn't trust Amy. Okay, Amy infiltrated our alternative propulsion group, or APEC group. She made good friends with my my right hand man, my lab guy Mark. And she started dating Mark, which I thought was like really just a little bit too weird. You know, like I consider her like a source and a whistleblower from NASA at the time. And I considered a source from NASA, and she infiltrated our group and like really disrupted a lot of stuff, told everyone they were wrong and stupid, and that she was the anti-gravity disclosure princess and was the only one with the right answers and the knowledge, and that she was gonna, do all this stuff. I mean, you heard the interview. She gets progressively more intoxicated throughout it and makes a variety of bizarre claims. But no, I didn't edit my audio off of that video. I just recorded a screen share, so that's why my audio portion is missing. Okay, so there's a ton of trolls right now that are using this whole Amy Eskridge thing to really go after me and try to attack me and turn people against me, and none of anything they say is true. So I think she faked her death and is now in the SSP. Oh, geez. So yeah, these theories about Amy Eskridge and that whole thing are just get really weird and crazy. It's pretty wild, man. There was a whole bunch of people saying that, what plasma paper? The one she never published, the one that she always said she was going to release or do a presentation on, but never could or never did. It seemed to me like she was fronting on that whole thing. I don't know. I'd be really surprised if she actually had a plasma paper and showed it to us, because nothing she ever showed me showed that like she really understood the physics of the science enough to really do that. She just seemed like she was someone that was this likable girl that some people took to. But I mean, she can't defend herself. Yeah, exactly. She can't defend herself right now. And bro, like, I don't know what to make of that thing. People want to ask me what I thought and how I perceived the whole situation. And I just want to show people this is the Amy Eskridge that I knew, so that people could see behind the scenes what I saw and interacted with. That's the only reason I shared that with a few key people. And then those people decided to leak that interview and make it public and post clipped versions of it everywhere. So I just posted the original here for context so people can get the whole full 3 hour and 15 minutes if they really want to go through it and watch it. But I assure you, it's like, I never saw anything from Amy that led me to believe that she was legit in any way. But again, her dad is completely different story, man. But again, why would they kill her and not her dad, man? Like, I don't know. The whole thing just doesn't make any sense. And there's a lot of people that lie about it and exaggerate things that happened who weren't there. So that's all I got to say about it. You can ask anyone from the APEC group who was into anti-gravity research at that time and interacted with Amy. You know, go watch the Estes Park conference, right? So Estes Park conference 2020, where she, go watch her behavior during the Estes Park conference. I don't know if you can find that anymore. Oh crap. Now that Woodward's dead, I should go download that and make sure it's posted up somewhere. I don't know if it's posted up anywhere. It's not. It used to be available online, but yeah, that was a whole thing that happened, man. Anyways, I got a call just now, and hopefully it's some work because it's a Rhode Island number, and they texted me earlier. I recognize the number, so I'm gonna go call this number back and hope that I can find some work, because I could really use that. And as much money as I make off of this, like literally the amount of time, even if I made like $5,000 on YouTube, this is a passion, man. I'm not making enough money off this to really make it a job or a full-time career, and nobody pays me to Danny barely covered my travel expenses to go on. He covered them. I just didn't like to ask for tons of money. So I guess it's all right, but I'm just not like that. I don't know, man. I feel let down by a lot of the whole bigger people in this movement, man. LARPing again. I do have a background in physics. I did go to college for this. Okay. I do actual science. I do talk to actual scientists. I do run experiments, in case you haven't noticed. Okay. Brian Keating is a fucking moron. Okay. Don't give a shit about him. All right. No one's like, I went to school for this, and I spent 20 years researching like a lot of the best material that's out there. A lot of real serious channels have copied and talked about my work and the things that I've worked on and done. All right. Just because I am an honest person who does honest trade work to support myself and my family, and have for years, just because that laying tiles and grouting will pay me, I can make like $800 in a day versus $19 an hour, which is what I made with my bachelor's degree in physics. Okay. So not my fucking problem that you can't do math and you're delusional and you don't understand how basic economics works and how you can support yourself. Because if your work as a scientist, bro, you're not making enough money to sit here and do all this, like, and feed I have 4 fucking kids, brother. You're not making enough money to provide for them if you're doing that. Just not going to happen unless you're like a sellout or working as a contractor or doing all this other stuff, man. It's like, and believe me, I could do that. I could, if I wanted to go and make weapons for this government and sell my knowledge for those applications, I could, man. But I'm trying to save humanity. Like, that's my goal, is to, expose these programs, the reality of it, and save humanity from a deep state that's just gone mad and done very horrible things to the American people, which I've tried my best to expose, and the people like Lou Elizondo who are behind those operations, and really put them on the table and expose them for what they are. But yeah, dude, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. If you're not like, you don't understand that, people people work in the trades to support themselves because they make more money, then I'm sorry you don't understand that. Yeah, man, it's like they cling to hate, and they I hate watching this show, but you watch all my shows and you're gonna it's pretty nuts, dude. Yeah, exactly, dude. Not everyone can be super, wealthy, and a lot of being wealthy just comes about having an attitude where you're trying to rip people off all the time. That's how rich people become rich, is that they don't want to help. I help people. I help a lot of people. I've done a lot of like bathrooms for discount price for people that really couldn't afford it, and just to help good people out, people that were good and deserved it. Okay. Helped a lot of people out that didn't deserve it too, unfortunately. But that happens too. So it's, just because you're not wealthy doesn't mean you're not a good person. This is, yeah. And it's even more expensive now with the tariffs and everything. And, but yeah, again, I have so much real shit going on in my life. Your comment doesn't mean anything to me. It does not faze me one bit. What comments that did kind of bother me, were Brian Keating's comments on that Twitter post. It does bother me that people are so ignorant that they literally have no idea what they're talking about. There's the UFO True Believers post. So we built a technical cargo cult around fake physics. Well, we don't know that it's fake. Right? We're trying to push the envelope of physics as honorable. It's commendable. Okay, towing the status quo, and the guy at the patent office who said we should close the patent office in 1920 because everything that's been invented already has been invented. That is the mentality that Brian's displaying here. UAPs, this is the claim that UAPs do 80,000 foot dives. Again, there's numerous technologies mentioned in the comments below this post, which refute the claim Brian Keating makes, shows examples of technologies that can do that. I talk about the, of course, Project Palladium that could spoof that for radar systems. Brags about his work as a scientist as if that qualifies him to do or be knowledgeable about all this material. It doesn't qualify you. Just because you're a PhD and you work on telescopes and other types of equipment like that. I've worked on that kind of stuff too. I've done those type of jobs too. I've been a technician on huge like construction projects, power plants, chemical plants, refineries, huge industrial projects. I've worked on all kinds of really technical stuff. Okay. But at the end of the day, I set tile, but I'm more qualified than you to talk about this field. Why? Because I've done 20 years of field research. I've interviewed half the scientists involved in the stuff, and I've done meticulous historical documentation of the history. So, right, these people that come in here and try to disrupt and make these completely irrelevant points do not matter. Okay. Brian will not watch this. He's never watched a single one of my videos. He will stick his head in the sand where it's always been. And even if we were to figure out anti-gravity and free energy and show it off on our channel, Brian would be one of the last people to give us recognition or the attention it deserves, right? Guaranteed. Guy is a know-nothing ignoramus posting a bunch of nonsense, which he thinks makes his point. And it's shows in the comments and the response he received with the criticality of it, just how stupid he is and how people really just don't respect his opinions or his takes on this stuff. So we appreciate that, Brian. But again, anytime you want to come back on my podcast, I don't think you will. after the last time, but you're not doing Into the Impossible any justice, because Into the Impossible should be about, trying to talk about UFOs, physics, and science, and isn't the cargo cult like isn't that like what you should be covering? Like, isn't that what your channel is like, should be interested in and about? Like, and if it's fake, then why don't you do a better job exposing it? Like, I can help you with that. I know more about these people and their inventions and where they ripped off their ideas and everything from. That's what I do, is like the technology, like hacking and the history, and like it's what me and my friends do, literally, in our spare time. It's our passion, our hobby, and our interest. But anyways, till next time, guys, I appreciate all the fans who came out to support me and throw some. Anyone have questions for me before I go? I got a little bit of time. You mean I learned a lot for you with 9/11. Yeah, Tucker's doing some stuff. Yeah. I liked his Kurt Weldon interview, man. The Kurt Weldon interview was fire, man. That's some really amazing stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to stay positive, man. It's been real tough. I've gone through a lot of bad spells, and it's this morning when I was like, all right, I don't have any money for this weekend, and then I look in and my car insurance hit my account for $500. I was just a little bit more than depressed, but I guess I can. You guys there, I appreciate everyone that's coming to support me and help me pull through this, and trying to get a funding voucher to go down to Mark's lab for a media coverage of that, and then maybe I can get some money from some money from their investor to go do that. That would be awesome. But yeah, definitely, I needed to go live today. I haven't been live in so long. I have a newborn who's like 5 months old. He's 5 months old now. Did you guys see that Deep Prasad, my friend Deep just had a baby girl, man. I'll put that on. But yeah, awesome. Being a dad is awesome. It's a ton of work and it's super rewarding. Yeah, your life's about to change, bro. You have no idea. You have no idea. Say goodbye to your social life and your YouTube channel and everything else for a little bit. So I apologize to everyone who's, like, why are the videos dropped off? Why haven't you been on a lot? Why are you always in a bad mood all the time? Well, if you're up every 2 hours all night, every night for the past 5 months, it has a toll on you. So, yeah, definitely thank you to the support I've gotten from so many people out there, and everyone doing stuff. Deep's gotten better, man. Like, I was not sure about him at the beginning, and so, but he's doing some awesome stuff with his company and trying to change this planet and get people to Mars. So anyone who's on that team and trying to push technology forward, yeah, man, that's I got support for you, man. So, and I understand that stuff. So yeah, say goodbye to sleep, man. It's true. That is so true. Congrats. Yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, thanks. Bernie, man. You had some bad falling out with Tesla Tech, and I don't. We're gonna talk about that later. It's just I just hate having to pick sides in this whole thing, man. It's just, man. Well, you need some abrasive to make everything smooth. That's the way I like to put it. Yeah, dude. Yeah, the kids totally feed off that, man. If I'm not in a good mood, he totally knows, and he feeds off that. And it's just like, you have to, yeah, man. I'm trying my best, man. It's been rough. But later, guys, we're gonna see you later, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. Until next time, stay safe, and thank you for all the support.